Old School Pokemon here, back again with podcast episode number 32, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. And tonight we have a very special guest, Jake from Pokenomics, joining us. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing good. Just finished. Apologize to your viewers at the top. I just got done with a pretty long drive, so I'm going to do my best in this conversation, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
You guys have a long drive coming up this weekend too. A lot of driving going on.
Busy week.
I'm looking forward to it though. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be an exciting weekend. So with that, we'll hop right into the Q&A. Right on topic too. So Omega Yen asks, what are Jake and you guys hoping to accomplish in Charlotte at Collecticon? Will there be a call-in episode coming for the PokeFlipz podcast? So myself personally, events are primarily about the people and just like the memories and all that. Buying and selling are secondary. I am going to have a table this time formally. I have a banner that I ordered that hopefully is going to arrive to Nick tomorrow to bring down. If not, you'll just have to find Nick's banner and I'll be somewhere in that vicinity. But yeah, buying and selling are secondary. I don't go, except for a little bit of a teaser, prearranged deals. There might be some prearranged deals going on that you'll find out about. But aside from those, buying and selling are completely secondary. It's all about just meeting new people, sharing the experiences and talking about our passion, all that good stuff. Really fun to go to these events, get out and meet like-minded people. So what about you, Jake? First event, right?
Yeah, first event. Yeah, the Sam main goal is just like have fun, have a good time. I am interested in the buying and selling aspect, just to kind of see what it's like. Both to see if I can find some things I'm looking for, maybe do some trades to kind of fill some holes in my collection would be cool. Maybe buy some stuff. I'm hoping to sell some stuff. I brought it quite a bit down. And everything I'm bringing is definitely things that it ranges from like I'm open to sell to I would like to sell. But I would say most of the stuff, as long as I'm getting reasonably fair, market or near sort of market, I'm open to sell, and hopefully I will sell some stuff, and then maybe I'll also use that money and buy some cool things down there. But if I don't buy or sell anything, it'll be fine. It still will be a successful trip, I'm sure, just to hang out and have a good time and meet people. So that's my attitude going into it.
That's the right attitude for sure.
It's a good attitude to have. Yeah, I
definitely am not looking at it as like a great money making, expedition. In part because most of the stuff I could probably list on eBay and get similar amounts, for that I can get down there. So
yeah, I am so looking forward to this weekend. I've been anxiously awaiting since last weekend, seeing all the Collecticon Dallas stories on Instagram really made me regret not going to that one. But it's tough to do back to back like that. I don't know how these people who are going to both are actually able to do it. That's a lot of traveling in a little bit of time. But similar to Jake and Dan, definitely it's definitely more so about the people and the experience. Just being able to hang out with everyone, have a good time. More so than the buying and the selling aspect. I always look at these Collecticon events as kind of like a mini vacation. I don't take too much time off from eBay, so being able to have 4-ish days where I'm more or less completely away from eBay is really, really nice. Plus, being able to hang out with these guys, it's gonna be a great time. Really looking forward to that. I've done like Collecticon recap videos in the past, and I've talked about the whole buying and selling aspect. I'm going down there with the expectation to sell a lot of stuff. I got 4 tables for this Collecticon, so going down with a whole bunch of inventory, hoping to sell a lot. But from a strictly financial standpoint, if you're just looking at the trip from finance standpoint, you're definitely better off staying at home and selling the cards on eBay. For if you're in a position like I am, where I'm already buying and selling directly on eBay, it's a lot of work prepping for these types of trips. I basically spent all day today pricing the stuff that I'm going to bring down. That's going to be a good part of my day tomorrow. And then obviously going down to Collecticon, spending the weekend there, buying, selling, hanging out, and then coming back home, getting everything unpacked, put back into my eBay inventory. It's a good solid week in between prepping the trip and then coming back home from the trip. So it's definitely a lot of work. You can make some good money at these shows, but the work involved can't be understated. There's a good bit of work involved. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. Hoping for some good sales. I would love to buy some stuff while I'm down there. I know in Orlando, I was able to buy a few. I'm buying to resell it, so I can't pay that. But would like to buy some stuff. Hopefully be able to do that, and then hopefully have a lot of sales. I'm unlike there's a lot of people who go down there with some really good stuff, but they're not willing to negotiate. So they come down there with all this stuff and they go home with all this stuff. I take the opposite approach. I want to come home with a lot less than I go down with. So I'm gonna be the Walmart of Collecticon with my everyday low prices.
Going out of business sale, hit Nick up at Sunday at 5 p.m. an hour before close. Have cash and offer 50 to 60%. There's the pro stress right there.
I might be going home with some of Nick's stuff in the last hour.
It'll be funny because you guys are driving together, so it'll be in the same car. It'll just have transferred ownership.
You're going back with it.
It'll be like the eBay vault. You'll just be transferring ownership. It'll be physically in the same place.
Oh man. And then did we want to touch on the second part of that Colin episode?
PokeFlipz, probably not. Maybe. I mean, there's 3 separate channels right here. There's a lot of other people going that we all know. There could be a live happening at some point, but there's nothing formally pre-planned. You just never know. Guess we'll have to see. The wait and see for the weekend.
Yeah. So, next question comes from Koro Pokemon. Looks like PSA is opening the lower tiers soon. Considering the low prices in the market now overall, what will happen to the market if they open $10 to $20 tiers? I cannot wait till they open those lower tiers. Looking forward to that. I hope we get the next tier at some point this summer. That was kind of the rumor in Orlando that we would see the $20-$25 tier at some point in June. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point where they really just reopened the $50 tier. Kind of like an unlimited, anyone can submit under that tier with any amount of cards without having to worry about the lottery system. So we'll see on that one. But in terms of what will happen to the market once they do reopen up these tiers, I don't think it'll have much of an effect on pricing. I think right now we're in a really healthy spot in the hobby. A lot of stuff has cooled way down from 2020 to the point where you're getting more and more people back into the hobby actually purchasing cards now. So that's really good right there. And I think a lot of people learned when we did see all these crashes, they learned what to submit and what not to submit. So I think going forward, you're going to see a lot more people kind of playing it safe and only submitting cards that should be submitted into PSA. We're not going to be seeing those unlimited PSA 7 holos get submitted into PSA anymore. So I do think that the market will just kind of continue as it has been. I don't think we'll see any dramatic decreases once PSA does reopen. They're kind of bulk tiers. What do you guys think on that one?
For me, I think it'll depend on the turnaround time. I'm hopeful that PSA will remain committed to their longest turnaround time tiers being 3 to 6 months tops. Obviously, if they do it too soon, $10, $20 tier could cause the backlog to increase. I never want 6+ month. I just recorded the video before this for a 500 card return from November of 2020. I don't want that to be a thing again. I think, though, within the next 2 to 3 years, hopefully we do return to 10 to 20 grading, under 6 month turnaround time. Bad cards, and when I say bad cards, when I say junk slabs, when I say bags, anything like that, it's not meant to like take away, like every card is a good card if you enjoy it and you want that card graded. So it's not talking about that. I'm just talking about certain cards that are still raw mint, $20. Somehow the PSA 10, PSA 9 are like hundreds or above 100. Prices have come down a lot, but there are still some offenders that exist. When we get there, those cards will drop more. I mean, naturally. Like, I think Gold Star Greninja is one of them. Like, it's a modern card. It's a $200 PSA 10, only because very few people are spending the $50 to grade it. If $10 were to open, I'll send 30 of them, 50 of them, who knows, maybe 100 of them if I have enough that look that clean. It's a beautiful card and I love it, but it should be a $30 or $40 PSA 10 and a $12 PSA 9 probably. So yeah, the good stuff won't be affected. The bad stuff, the slab premium will go down when the slabs are more accessible.
Yeah. Do I just talk when ready, or do you guys do my win?
Oh, go for it.
I want to let you guys lead. It's just a free flowing conversation over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think completely agree with Dan. We think the exact same on this. So, and even had the exact same card that we were going to talk about in our answers, literally. So, there are a few others, that came to my mind, but anything that is selling raw, for $20, $15, $5, the Greninja is stunning, frankly, that's going for 200, given that the raw is so cheap. It'll be interesting to see kind of how difficult that card is to grade. If it is somehow quite difficult, I don't know, but I mean, I have seen quite a bit of them. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. So, but that's a little stunning. That's why that one stands out so much. There's a lot of other offenders that are not nearly as bad, but cards that are going for $20, $30, where the PSA 10 is selling for $150, $200. Also, cards like there are cards in PSA 10 that are even selling for $30 right now that probably won't be selling for $30, or they may not be able to even maintain that price. Now when you start getting under sort of 30 or around 30, or down to 25, the incentive just disappears for people to grade the card. And so that's usually where those cards kind of find some sort of floor. But honestly, some of this modern stuff is so easy to grade in a 10 that even if the 10s are going for $25, I could see people mass grading them. If you can sell the 9s at 10, 12 and get out of them, and you can buy the, and there could be so many sent in at once that the price goes down to $15 in a PSA 10 or even a bit less. So I would say a significant impact, like 80% losses, 70% losses on those things like the Gold Star Greninja is what I would expect.
Yeah.
And then very minimal downside and losses on stuff. But I also think that, talking about vintage, we talk a lot about modern. Modern definitely is going to have often the biggest offenders because there's just the more new supply constantly hitting the market. But even things like some Japanese hollows, unlimited, WotC, like some of that stuff, some first edition WotC too, maybe, particularly in your 8s and 9s, 7s. I would expect some impact, but it's all gonna depend on, at least that stuff. There was a window where a lot of people got it out. Whereas when you're talking about Gold Star Greninja, the card didn't exist. So anything that didn't exist until after is going to be your biggest offender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the cards that you couldn't submit under the bulk tier. I think those ones will drop for sure.
Yeah,
I would honestly be surprised if, what was it? Say like Rebel Clash and back. I would be surprised if that stuff dropped significantly. Just because that stuff has been coming through. People submitted that stuff, and that stuff has been getting returned through the backlog. And pricing did crash from 2020, but I don't think that was necessarily due to just an influx in cards hitting the market from PSA.
It'll be interesting. A card like the gold cards, the Zamazenta and Zacian gold cards from base, Sword and Shield base, like that'll be interesting to see because already a ton of them are graded and prices got really, really high. A ton of them are graded. It completely destroyed the price. They were selling over $200. They went all the way down to $40, $50. And that's even without this $10 to $20 tier existing. I wonder how much more is out there of that, or did most of that get through because exactly as Nick is saying, that's the big question. We know, Chill and Rain, Battle Style. We know that they didn't get through there. But Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield and and sets like that, they had a lot of months, and most of the product was opened, and most of the hype and interest was in those months, and most of the businesses who were grading were already grading in that time period. So I would tend to agree with Nick. I think we've already seen the drops on those cards that, that card selling at 40 to 50 seems like a really, frankly, inexpensive price for a really, really good looking, gorgeous key card from that set, but we'll see. I mean, there could be thousands more graded and, if the demand isn't there, that card could go from, 40, 50, 60. I think it was maybe 60. Most of them selling at 60, could go down to most of them selling at 40 with the occasional one going at 25 to 30. So,
yeah,
which to me seems super low. But again, but again, it's the supply is just so high. These sets were printed so much. So,
yeah, that $30 to $50 range is a really interesting price point because if it pushes too close to 30, the incentive to grade goes away, and there's kind of an equilibrium where the price will bounce between that channel. When it creeps up towards 50, okay, these 10 or 20 that I have are worth sending now, make a little bit more margin. Then when a couple hundred more get graded, like, because I was grading first edition Jungle Pikachus and first edition Jungle Eevees and selling them when they were about $40 in a PSA 10. It was decent enough business that I did it, but it wasn't worth sending everyone I had all at once because grading was accessible for under $10 with 3-month turnaround. Well, sometimes it was 3 days, sometimes it was 5 months, but so yeah, I think we'll get back to that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they sent in their best stuff. They sort of slowly send things in. So like your really great stuff you would send in that was like very definite a 10. And then, and so that also is why it may not have such a horrible effect. Is that the really premium stuff, like most people have, I do think that most of the people who are mass grading and doing all these things are probably people that have been in the hobby longer, were in the hobby before this happened, and the businesses were in this hobby before this happened. Of course, there are going to be plenty of new businesses and new people, but how many of those were able to get tons and tons of graded cards and then weren't able to send them out. You just get into these situations where it just becomes less likely. And so I think I'm in agreement with you guys that, there are going to be some extreme offenders and then plenty of things maybe moderately affected. And maybe, to be honest, they may not go down at all, or they may even go up because people have already priced in. There's a lot of negativity on graded slabs because a lot of people aren't buying them because they're pricing in potentially the fear that a lot more get graded. And then if they see like a lot more doesn't get graded, you might see people less willing to sell them or less, wanting to get it, so be interesting.
It'll be a K-shaped response, right?
Could be.
Next question, a really good one, comes in from Celebi Collectibles. What do you think the market would look like if grading had never existed? I feel like I could go on. We could have a 3-hour podcast just about this question probably, but I'm someone who's very outspoken against some of grading, some of the, to me, absurd premiums on plastic in general, labels in general, specifically the 10 premium, especially on certain offenders. But honestly, like I do at my core, like I recognize the need for grading companies. I've mentioned it before, but maybe it gets drowned out among some of my criticism or negativity or whatever. I recognize that grading companies are needed. They provide a much more ease of transaction between buyer and seller. To me, when I sell, I've got a lot of 10s next to me. I'm trying to find a 9. When I sell a card, I've always said like most grading companies, 95 to 99% of the time, they're going to be plus or minus 1. If I had to sell this card, I would say it was mint. I'd have to show like 10 pictures to try to capture the true condition of the card. Grading it, though, takes all that away. You have an unbiased company's expert opinion that this card is a mint 9. So you have a pretty reasonable expectation of what the condition of that is going to be. It just makes it so much easier to do business. And it makes it easier as a collector. Like I value this. I value certain things. Certain people are like, I want a card near as perfect as possible. So you want to go for the 10s. If you are like, once you learn the scales, if you're a collector that generally wants cards that are pretty well centered, a little bit of hollow scratches, but no like crazy creases or bends, you might settle in PSA 7, 8, 9 range somewhere. So like it makes it easier for people to just know what they're getting, not have too many surprises. The 1% of issues are out there, misgrades, overgrades, undergrades, whatever. We're all human. The graders are all human. That stuff happens. But like, so there's like the positive side, all the ability to transact easier. And then I guess kind of a negative with a positive, the prices are really inflated, and they wouldn't be so inflated, I don't think, due to without grading. In some ways that's great because it like allows people to build businesses around it. It allows people to like earn a living and more easily, I guess, in some ways. But in other ways, I think some people have been and will continue to be financially damaged by being the buyers of those bags, of those really overinflated prices on graded cards. If you're buying a card to collect it and you're happy paying that price to own that card, irrespective of future value, by definition, no card bought under those pretenses, in my opinion, is a bag. But when you buy $1,000 PSA 10 first edition EV, most of those buyers, I think, were buying it as an investment. And those were bags. And there's a lot of bags out there. If you're buying under the bad pretenses, future value growth, those people are actively being damaged by the existence of this whole absurd premium. And it's not really the grading company's fault, somewhat, but maybe it is a little bit too. I guess I'll just leave it there and pass it along to Jake. Hear some of your guys. Maybe we'll bounce this one around a couple times.
I mean, I think the only place where it's really, I mean, occasionally I think that things do get absurd. You know, the premiums get absurd on 10s, and, you know, I get surprisingly high offers for low pop things occasionally. But generally speaking, the only place that I think it's absurd is in the micro grades, like black labels, like where you get like where it becomes harder and harder to differentiate, and yet the premiums become more and more extreme. I have a little bit of a hard time to go there, but I respect it and understand it. But I have a little bit of hard time personally going there. And then when there are 2010s and 49s or 209s and people are paying 4x for the 10s, when basically every card pack fresh and it's a modern and a million more are going to come out, and people are right this minute are paying that type of premium, that doesn't make sense as a collector to me. And to me, I think it comes from probably just that they're not doing the research. They don't know the pop reports. Probably most people, if they knew the pop reports, they wouldn't covet that as much, or maybe they'd be a little bit more hesitant. The whole notion, though, that like collectors don't like graded cards, it's only like speculator, money, investor people, is so silly. It's literally coming from people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. And aren't thinking about it very deeply, and are kind of being disrespectful, and frankly, blatantly being very disrespectful to people who really enjoy collecting slabs. They enjoy, if you really think about it for a second, it adds a whole nother collecting element that wouldn't exist. So not only can now you complete sets, but you can complete sets in certain grades. You can complete sets in certain grades from certain companies. It creates new displayability options, new protection options. This whole idea that somehow it ruins the card, or now it's on this plastic and I can't touch it, so that makes it worthless. Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but the rudeness of like, my way is better. Like, I would never say that to someone who just like binder collections or raw collections. And I do want to say that in the context of this, because there's some pretty strong opinions out there that I think that can be a little toxic around this. Dan and we don't talk a lot about collecting because frankly, it's pretty obvious, collect what you love and enjoy, and who gives a crap what someone else tells you. But when we answering it from more of that collecting perspective, because that's also a big part of what this question I think is. It's not just financial. I get annoyed because I think some people who really enjoy it are sort of told that you're greedy or only into money. And I've had some people come to me asking me sort of that thing, or feeling sort of bad about that they're not the purest collector or something. And the reality is, like, that makes no sense. As I said before, it's just taking something that you really enjoyed and adding even more or different collectible elements to it. Chase, rarity, all these types of things. That being said, I'm a big binder collector, and I also like the aesthetic and the journey and the practice of completing a binder, just like I enjoy the practice of completing a complete PSA 9 and PSA 10 set. But do I think, financially speaking, that there's some that people are, I think where it can get a little bit lost sometimes is that people can pay really huge premiums just for the grade, even if the card is like a PSA 8, PSA 7. And I also get that on some level. And this is why I say buy the card and the grade, because people want that uniform PSA slab, because that is now part of the item, and they want all those 10s. And I think denying that is like pretending that doesn't matter, or putting that down. But I do think that I would encourage people to really reflect on that. Like, will you be happy with that slab, or is it worth waiting? Because I think for a number of people, it can actually be worth waiting for that 10, for that 9, that also has really good eye appeal, because I think that will matter to you over time as someone who's collected and done this for a while. But collecting is very personal. Don't let anyone tell you, if you have a PSA 10 that looks like a 7 or an 8, and someone tells you that you shouldn't like that, F them, excuse my language. Like, your collection, do whatever the hell you want and enjoy it. Now, if someone comes to you with a financial argument that there's risk in that, this is where it gets confusing. Like, that's reasonable. So like, if Dan comes to you and says there's a financial risk potentially, and maybe other people won't pay that much, and maybe, you know, there's some concern there. And if you care about that sort of thing, then you should reflect on it. But, you know, that's how I would answer it. And I guess to go specifically to this question, like if it had never existed, you would lose a lot of that collectability, a lot of that chase. I think not having numbered or serialized cards, and it hurts more in that case, because you lose, like, that would be the only place that you might find chase, where we don't have that in this hobby. Mm-hmm. So maybe more people who look for that wouldn't come to Pokemon. You know, we've had lots of people come to Pokemon and enjoy Pokemon mainly because of grading. Let's be completely honest. And none of these cards would be nearly rare enough or would be interesting, even if they nostalgically love them. And they might go more and stick more in like sports or things that have numbered cards and actual rarity, or they would go specifically to like maybe promos or more niche stuff, lower release stuff, trophy cards to sort of get that rarity. So there's definitely a place for it. Obviously grading companies can continue to grow and hopefully do better. But my perspective is very much that it's like, obviously personally, I love it. It's brought me a ton of enjoyment. So I guess as a collector of it and as someone who does appreciate it and understand it, I feel a responsibility to speak up for it a little bit when other people are mostly speaking down on it. I feel like these days, I rarely hear someone say like collecting graded cards is great and I really enjoy it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with what you said there. I don't think Pokemon would be anywhere close to what it is today had it not been for graded cards. Because like what you were saying, you lose a huge chase aspect from the people who are looking to build those PSA sets, people who are chasing those 10s, those black labels, whatever. You would lose a huge amount of the buyer pool within Pokemon, and then you would also lose a huge amount of money in Pokemon, because we wouldn't be getting nearly the pricing that we get for those PSA 10s, for those black labels, and so on and so forth. Plus, from a business perspective, you would lose a lot of businesses had it not been for grading. I know a good portion of my eBay business is graded cards. Not as much as Dan's, but still a good portion of it. And if grading weren't a thing, I think it would be a lot harder to nearly impossible for people to start a business buying and selling Pokemon cards, because that's where you make a good portion of your profit. Buying collections is being able to pick out those minty cards and submit them in for grading. If that weren't a thing, it'd be so much harder than it is today.
Yeah. An illiquid market would be even less liquid and just more difficult to transact, and more returns, more unhappy buyers getting bad surprises. So one interesting thing that I thought while you guys were talking, like, imagine during this whole 2020 boom, imagine if just Pokemon was like never graded. Would it have boomed remotely the way that it did? Like sports boomed, everything boomed, and a lot of it was fueled by PSA 10 prices being quoted and how much money you could potentially get opening this or that. Like if somehow, just alternate reality, PSA never graded Pokemon cards, professional sports authenticators, they literally only graded sports cards. I wonder how many would they have printed half as much?
Liquidity so relies on comps, and I mean, we can look on TCG Player. I mean, obviously things can sell, right? I mean, you can list things right as near mint and light play, and you can try to do it that way. But there's going to be a lot, as Dan said, right? There's going to be a lot more returns. There's going to be a lot more anxiety. It's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be a lot more irritating. It's going to be a lot more difficult.
And think about like a PSA 10 base first Charizard is $300,000 or $400,000. A PSA 9 base first Charizard is $25,000 to $30,000. if you're selling a raw mint Charizard today, you might get 10 to 20 PSA 8 to 9 prices, but like, how are you gonna like crack out all 100 of the 10s and crack out all, what is it, 500 or 600 9s, mix them all up, and then tell me what the prices would be on all those raw? You're
not anywhere close to even the 9 prices.
None of them are going to be $300,000. None of them are going to be selling for $300,000 if grading didn't exist. And that's not inherently good or bad. It's just a fact. It would be a really interesting thought experiment to just kind of play through how everything would exist like that. Good question.
I don't think we would have had the 2020 craziness had it not been for graded cards. I think that was a big part of what happened, is the whole PSA backlog. Like what you said, people quoting PSA 10 prices opening on their pack opening channels. I don't think you'd be able to have like the foundation within Pokemon that we had to have that 2020 craziness. I think the market would be just a lot smaller.
Yeah, and obviously a large part of 2020 was the whole scalping, buying at retail, flipping it for double. But I think like the foundation to that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe some of that still would have gone on, but I think it was largely fueled by the PSA 10 shiny Charizards and PSA 10 hidden fates, like all that stuff going for 1,000 plus. And
I can see how grading, like if we talk about like the negative impacts for a second, like, if you are someone who just wants to do a binder and does not care about chase, about the finances, about ever selling your collection, you're truly, that's who you are fundamentally. Grading's annoying because grading makes probably those cards more expensive to buy, because there's that opportunity in the raw market to buy a raw card and grade it and make money. So people are doing that, which is probably pushing up the price, taking some out of circulation. And it's creating a lot more demand for that card because of that. And that's sort of true across the board. But, no one person is more important than another person. So your feelings are not more important than my feelings. My feelings are not more important than your feelings. And I think it's people have to learn how to kind of coexist with this stuff, and understand that people's incentives and what people like and demands don't always line up. And, this brings us back right to what we saw, in the debate this year, particularly with Modern, when Booster, all the scalping and all, and all this and all of that, and people were unable to get the cards. And, it's a testy thing, but at the end of the day, like this is just Pokemon cards. Like, I hopefully we can get along and appreciate and respect that people enjoy this stuff in for different reasons. I know this is not what this person was asking in this question, and I decided to kind of take it into that sort of route, but there you go.
Good question, Celebi. One of our regulars.
Good one.
Pretty heavy, pretty deep question there. We'll follow it up with this one.
So next question, Aiden M. The three of you get into a bar fight at Collecticon with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Vanilla Ice. What other two PokeTubers would you choose to have your back? My first choice would definitely have to be Leonhardt. He looks like he spends a decent amount of time in the gym there. And then can I say Swole, since he made one YouTube video? Who would my second be? Let's see. Probably. I don't know. That's a tough one.
I think Echo Base does like strongman competitions,
who-
doesn't
that's
I
he?
didn't
my
think of
choice.
him. Yeah, that's true.
That's my first choice for sure.
Oh well, I'll
Yeah.
save that one for you. I'll go with Rusty too. TCA Gaming.
Oh yeah.
He looks
Seems like he'd be scrappy.
yeah. he's got the height going on.
He's got
Or-
those stories about like wrangling the wild animals around his house too, chasing them around. So yeah, he's probably real scrappy.
How about you guys?
I'm happy with that team.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
sub in
come
Echo Base.
on. So generic.
Those are literally all the people that went to my mind for
Yeah.
the exact reasons that you guys said.
Yeah, I think we covered it. I think we're pretty
Let's
safe
say,
though.
like, thinking, let's see, who else seems tough? I don't know. None of us, particularly. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm 6'4", so I like look scarier than I am. Probably, I look like I'm more capable than I am. So I've got that going for the group. As far as like actual utility, I'm probably not bringing much, but I've got the size for the fear factor.
I'm definitely not bringing much these days. Maybe when I was like 20, 22, 23. But
Yeah.
these days, I don't know. Probably just going to try and talk them out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll sit everyone down and talk
Go
about
therapy mode on them. Yeah, there we go.
Well, that was an interesting question.
Nice way to get us laughing, and a quick one to get through because this is going to be a lengthy recording probably. So right into the next question from Mertz Collectibles. Dan started with $5,000, but how much would someone with work ethic and knowledge need to start a legit poke business today? I paraphrased this one pretty heavily. It was but yeah, I mentioned here not just a side hustle. Basically, it didn't mention brick and mortar specifically, but like going into this. So I guess I'll go right into my answer. Highly dependent on what you need to live on as an income. I mean, some people are capable of living on 30 grand a year. Some people need 130 grand a year or more to live their day-to-day life, to cover their annual spending. So highly dependent on that to start with. Very broad rule of thumb. Maybe you'd want to have 10 times what you thought you were going to be making per year. So if you, maybe that's too much, maybe 5 times. If you think you want to make 50 grand a year, I think 250,000 would be a reasonable amount to start with, to just get that inventory, to get stuff churning. To preface this though, and kind of disclaimer, I wouldn't recommend anybody quits their day job just snap, even if you have 250 grand. I would recommend everyone do it to some extent the way that I did it. I didn't even do it intentionally. 8 years ago when I started with 5 grand, it was a side hustle. In those 8 years, I learned a lot. And this question, I paraphrased out of it. It mentioned having experience, having knowledge of the hobby. So like through those 8 years, I gained experience and knowledge. I also learned that I enjoyed doing this a lot. Like, don't quit your day job tomorrow and then find out a year into this that you don't even enjoy doing it full time. Like, I would say start small, scale it up, start it as a side hustle and scale it into something day to day. If it works out for you, if you enjoy it. But yeah, so kind of cheating, not answering it directly. I think you could do that with 5 grand today. You're just going to have to put in a lot more hours to scale that to a number that you can go full time with. But as I said, it's so dependent on what you're going to need to be pulling out. If you're pulling out 10 grand a month to live on versus if you're pulling out 2 grand a month to live on, very different things. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you would need that much to start out. Obviously, like you want to have your personal finances squared away.
The more the better, right? I mean,
so you do want to have some money in the bank for that. But let's say aside personal finances, I think you could start. I think it would take a lot more than 5,000 to start like a legitimate business today. I think you could start something and start making like a decent monthly income on 60 to 75,000. That could get you a lot of really nice collections to start out with, and then as you sell those cards, you reinvest all that money into or most of that money into the business. So
let's just for sake, let's say 50K. You need to make 50K a year. What like to think of it that way, Nick? So how much do I need? Like if you were given 60, 70K, can you turn that into 50K reliably in 1 year? Like how do you feel very confident about that? Do you feel somewhat confident? Like where would you be with something like that?
I would say yeah, 60 to 75,000 as like the seed money at the beginning of the year. Yeah. I would say you could make a profit of around 50,000. If you do put in the time and the effort. It's going to take obviously the more money you have, the less time and effort that you can afford to put into it. Yeah, exactly. But if you're willing to put in
needs to be low risk.
Time and effort,
there needs to be almost no risk as far as I'm concerned, because this is not your side hustle.
That's why I said.
There's always going to be a risk, though. You're never going to be risk-free starting a business.
If you have 5x cash to start with, you can go a year or two not making money and you'll be fine. Like I went with a really low risk. I mean, theoretically, you could do it with any amount, right? I mean, but
my concern about 70K or 60K is there'd be so much pressure to get my money in and out of things so much that I'm not sure there's enough good deals, there's enough good things, but I haven't done it myself. So I don't know. That's my honest answers. Like I've never tested myself that way. It would be interesting. That would be a really interesting test to get myself 70K and be like, you have to make 50K profit just using this. Mm-hmm. It's definitely possible. I'm just not sure how likely or repeatable it is, but it's interesting. Can you, Nick, what would be your game plan? Because I think that would be interesting to hear, and so you said collections.
Yeah, I would just do what I'm doing right now. Buying collections, breaking them down into individual cards, selling them that way.
On that though, and I'm only going to do this because you're so transparent about it on your channel, but most people taking a look at your eBay, taking a look at your monthly breakdowns, we have a concept of like what you have in inventory value, very, very roughly, far in excess of 70,000. And last year for 2021, you showed everyone what you made, right? Mm-hmm. So you had significantly more than 70 and you didn't make like significantly more than 50, I don't think. So that's just
I think I did 60.
And you put in a lot of time too.
And that was during a pretty good time, potentially. It could be a lot worse this year.
So that's where I'm coming from with saying like 50 is the number that we're using here.
Yeah.
5x is a good, safe number that I feel pretty secure. You're talking about like 1.5x. It's doable, but you'd have to be like out grinding you to do that. And you're grinding.
Yeah.
Like that would be a very high risk scenario to put yourself in, I think.
But I think that's it's more realistic for people to do that though.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I understand to tell someone you need 250 grand. That's a lot of money. Not many people have 250 grand cash to go and quit their job and do this full time. That's why my answer kind of cheated and said, please don't.
But maybe, right, it's more realistic if you have 60 or 70K to shoot a 20K target and then figure out how to get that extra 30K. Maybe you work a part-time job, something you don't mind, something that has some health benefits.
It's very different too. Like I've mentioned it before. I quit my job almost a year ago. stable job, chemical engineer, good salary. I have a wife though that's a teacher, and her annual income covers our annual spending. So literally, I mean, I quit with very, very low risk, no debt, having a solid inventory based on 7 years of side hustling. So I quit with like even a better safety margin than I disclosed of like 5x of what you need to make in a year. I had many more multiples than that personally. So I would just urge extreme caution. If any, like, I don't know if anyone listening is going to be really considering this. And
I mean, for me, I 100% have to prove to myself that I can do it. And then frankly, even if I could do it, I still would never do it. Like, because I don't know how you can say that this is so repeatable unless your business model is based highly off of modern sets that are constantly coming out, or bulk, or something that it's like, unless Pokemon, and even then it's like, well, Pokemon can still take a dive, and these modern sets could take a dive. And even then, I might not be able to open the boxes and sell the playable cards, or I might not be able to just sell the boxes for profit, but at least that I know that there are new sets constantly coming out. Like, how many more of these great auctions, these vintage stuff, these middle generation stuff am I going to be able to buy? Am I going to be able to grade? Am I going to be able to make money? I don't know. I can't. I think it's part of why it would just be a really difficult. This is a really difficult question, like, for me to answer. So, like, I mean, what I would personally be comfortable with, I don't know if I'm not doing this for a reason at all. Like, I think even if you gave me 500,000, I'm not sure that I'd be supremely confident that I could that like it would be fun, like, and it would be like fun and enjoyable, or enough that I would like want to do it. And with that 500K, I could do so much other things that I'm just not sure. But I guess, I mean, I think with 500K or 250K or these types of things, I mean, I have not bought a lot like this in a while, but there are lots that come up once in a while. There are opportunities that come up once in a while, where you can buy like really premium great collections at 30-40%. And if you have 100K available, 150K, 200K available, you can buy that collection. That would be very solid and would likely make you your money and more right there. And it might only take you 3-4 months, but am I sure I'm going to get one of those every year? That's where my mind goes. And how repeatable is that? Is it more like, am I going to get big hits once in a while and then have long droughts? I think the answer, I mean, if I were to really do this, is I would want to be doing everything all at once. So I have my capital that's going into sort of like bulk and modern and constantly moving. Maybe that's the more time consuming. And then I have the stuff that I need 100K basically available, 150K available for that moment. That's going to be probably less time consuming, but require more capital risk. I don't know. What do you guys think of those thoughts as people who are actually attempting to do this full time, unlike me?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you definitely need to want to do this more than anything else. That was my thinking. I was sick of working on a ship. I did not want to do that whatsoever, and I just had no idea on what else I wanted to do. So Pokemon was like the thing that I truly enjoyed. So I said, I'm young. I don't have anyone relying on me. Now's the time to give it a shot, versus when I'm older, have a family, have other people relying on me. That's not the time to try something like this out. But yeah, I think you're kind of like willpower to succeed is the biggest factor.
Yeah.
For me, like what you were describing, I definitely have different parts of my business. I do a little bit of everything. I do some of the modern sealed game. I do I don't really do like bulk type stuff, but I do buying collections, grading them, flipping them, buying already graded collections, flipping them through different platforms. And I have a pretty big, like in my 8 years before it was a side hustle, I've always had a number of just liquid cash that I've wanted to have ready to buy collections. You never know when they're going to pop up. You always want to be ready when they do, so you don't miss out. That number's grown over time, and it's pretty big these days. I mean, I've made videos on my channel buying $40,000-$50,000 like lots on Heritage, PWCC, Golden. And I'm not quite as open as Nick. I don't share everything so in depth. I have, as I mentioned, my household expenses are covered by my wife's salary. I have personal targets, and I do plan to get a little more open with some of my finances in future videos. But I have targets of what I want to make. And again, like 5x, whatever you need to make in a year, having 5 times that is what I said. I have many multiples more than that in inventory coupled with cash over like what I need to make. So even that like fairly safe number, well, that number is still fairly risky. Jake was saying 500K, Nick's saying 75K. I'm at 250, but like in reality, I'm actually doing this full time, and I have significantly more than the number that I'm saying, or the number that Jake said, accounting for inventory and all that too. Like if I had to replicate what I have today in inventory and cash, it would be a big number at this point. Like, so yeah, we've already said it multiple times, but like start it on the side, have it be a side hustle. If you work a job where you can scale back hours, move from full-time to part-time, work out something like that and see if it's right for you, see if you can do it. But there is a lot, there's risk in any job. Even a stable job can become unstable, can get downsized, can get laid off. If a recession continues, if we go into a depression, even irrespective of recessions and depressions, companies fail. Companies out of the S&P 500 fail every year, every decade. So even stable incomes can become unstable at different times. So Pokemon being a fair bit more risky than most stable jobs, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, for me, I never did like, I mean, Pokemon was a lot smaller when I was breaking down lots and selling lots of individual cards and doing sort of the grind. But even when I think about it, like, yeah, it was also just never, and you know, this takes a question a little bit differently, but you know, for me specifically, I just didn't enjoy it very much. And I think I prefer investing. I prefer sort of the model of trying to find things that are undervalued by the market rather than spending all my time basically just buying collections or buying items, buying maybe really good items that are going to sell really quickly at 70 to 80%, buying medium-ish items at 40 to 60%, and buying items that are going to take me a long time to sell at 10 to 20%, these types of things. It's just, it's not really the question, right? Because I mean, this question might imply that like you're sort of willing to do anything, which I think really changes it. For me, I think if I had 500K, there's a chance I could turn that into 2 million doing what I do, depending on what the market does. There's also a chance that it comes back at 300K, so doing a lot of what I do and what I enjoy. So that's not a business, that isn't an acceptable business to me. That's more in sort of that investing, speculating type of thing, in sort of whatever I do. If I wanted the sure things, I would just be constantly moving the money in and out. And Yeah, it's and I guess I just don't have the experience to feel confident that I can do that at scale. And I know people say they do, and I'm sure I could learn. Probably. But I guess that's just for the audience, that's sort of my personal hesitance. And like my success was largely predicated on me guessing correctly, right? Or being smart, or or whatever about what was going to happen, to some extent, and then buying all the premium stuff before it happened, So that isn't a business. That isn't an arbitrage business model. So.
Good question.
That was a good one.
And I do think a lot of people are like me in that. And they and that's part of why I bring it up. I think there's a lot of like Pokemon investors who want their investing to be a business. And I don't really think that is. I think dealers and resellers and people who are it's more enjoying the grind of that than I think is the job. I don't know what you guys, think about that. Or if you, see yourself as doing some sort of hybrid or have interest in both. But, I'm someone, right, who's obsessively passionate about the data and the numbers and the market info, not about like buying a collection at 40 and selling it at 80. Like that doesn't move me. Like that doesn't interest me that much.
It can be a big component, I think. Like for me, I think for Nick it applies as well. Rusty talks about setting things back. Scott clearly has certain cards that over the years he's set back and were more collection, and some of them ultimately might have been sold when they really ballooned in price. So like I made a video saying I don't like using the investing word, but like there are items in my inventory that I've definitely interacted with them, buying them with intent for them to grow over time, not actively trying to flip them. So some percent, maybe a third of my business, a third of my inventory by dollar value, extremely roughly, might be cards that I'm not keen on selling quickly. When I buy a modern booster box for my distributor, I'm not flipping it for a $2 margin, but there's some price point that I'm just going to flip that into the market, take my profit. And some of that's going to be pulled out for my day-to-day living expenses or saving goals, whatever. And then, yeah, some component of most people I know in the hobby set stuff back to some extent, like even the people doing it full time. But like a Dave and Adam's Card World, a Troll and Toad, I don't think like they are businesses in the truest sense. Things are bought, things are immediately sold, everything is always listed. I've always had a large amount not listed.
Yeah, I do set some stuff back, not very much though. Now that I went full time, it's less and less stuff that I'm buying for either my personal collection or stuff that I feel like is going to be a good investment in the coming years. I'm more so enjoying buying collections at 60 to 70%, flipping those, buying another collection, kind of having a revolving door of cards coming through. That's kind of what I enjoy the most, as opposed to spending the time doing the research, looking into what would be the best modern card that's going to be worth holding on to for 5-10 years or so. But I do set some things back. Like I've been doing booster boxes, modern booster boxes. I'll set some of those back. Mostly modern product. I don't think I have any older stuff that I've set back specifically for this is a good card. It's a low price right now. Let me hold on to it.
Nick's a modern sealed investor.
Yeah, whereas I went through a lot of my collection in preparation for Collecticon to figure out what I wanted to bring, and there were 3 eras that I brought nothing from because I don't like the prices in those eras right now. Like I'm buying in those eras, I'm not selling in those eras. It's that that's how I function.
Spill them.
No. I say enough. but you know, and so I'm always like that, and so so I will put 15-20,000 into an era or into something that I think is really underrated. I'll buy every single thing that comes up at a price point because I think it's going to be higher. I think it's going to double or triple potentially in the next few years. You know,
Yeah.
and if not, I'm willing, you know, sometimes I will sell some as it kind of trickles up, or if it stays flat and I sort of change my mind on it, I may sell a little bit of it back. That's the type of stuff I do. When I started, it was all just buying collections and flipping grading what I could, flipping the rest, and then keeping the 10s, flipping the 9s. And then there were a few big hits. I hit some really big 10s. I did sell a few big 10s. But I've never done the grind consistently. More I would do it like maybe 2 months of the year, and then I'd have enough that I could like buy for a while. Like it would be that sort of thing. Because I guess my joy in this, you know, I didn't get into it at all initially as a business. It was just fun, and I was passionate learning about the hobby and learning how all of that works. But I'm in an interesting place now. You know, I'm fascinated. I'm interested in maybe dipping my toe a little bit more into some of that stuff in a little more of a repeatable, serious way. I'm always going to be doing sort of my speculating investing stuff because that's what I enjoy. It's also what I think I'm hopefully good at, you know, but you know, as Dan said, right, combining that. And again, part of it, Nick, right, it's about the capital, and it's about where you are in your business. You know, like I wonder if you at a certain point, right, if your business continues to be successful or grow, because I think it's, you know, if I'm not making enough that I can like sit 15-20,000 of product there, you know, I need to make my 50K in order to pay my bills, right, you know, or whatever. So it becomes sort of like, am I making enough to set stuff back? How much am I able to set stuff back? Sometimes being able to set some stuff back is more of a privilege, or, you know, of the business succeeding, or, you know, for a lot of people out there, right, this not being your main job, right? You have multiple jobs. Maybe you have a high paying job and you're able to kind of do some of that or some of both because of that. And it's being funded by that. But, sorry, as I said in the beginning, I drove for 5 hours. I apologize.
No, I think we had a good back and forth on that.
That was a good one.
Barely answering these questions. I'm just...
I like the question. I like the conversation that came from it.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
Nick's got to hit that timestamp.
Yes. So the Zard Hunter asked, how do you think the declining economy will affect future card/collectible conventions? So that's a tough one, actually. Obviously, if we go into like a recession or something, people are going to have less money to travel. So you would expect lower attendance. But the very first Collecticon show that happened was March or April of 2021. So right after the whole Logan Paul thing, 2020 happened. And that was I thought it was a really big Collecticon, really successful show. But subsequent shows have just gotten bigger and bigger. You're seeing more and more people go to these shows every single time. You're seeing more and more sales happen every single time. The Collecticon that happened in Dallas last weekend, I forget who posted it, but someone posted like the line to get in on Instagram, and the line was absolutely insane to get in to that Collecticon. So I think these in-person conventions are definitely becoming bigger and bigger, a bigger part of the hobby, because it's a lot more fun being able to go purchase cards in person, hang out with different people in the community, than it is to buy these cards online. So I think if anything, people might make or buy less online so that they can save up to go to these in-person conventions, versus not going to these in-person conventions and buying more online. But it's a tough one to tell. I do think these in-person conventions will continue to get bigger and bigger, though, despite most of the economy.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because like if you're local to the convention, if you can just drive an hour or two, it's not too drastic of an expense. It's like going out to a dinner or something. Like, what is it, $35 for a regular attendee?
I think so.
And I mean, gas and tolls, whatever. Like, you might spend $50 to $100 going to the show for one day if you're local to it. But flying, I mean, my flights to Charlotte were about $500, and then a room. You're looking at more like between $500 and $1,000 to travel to one for a weekend. I could see that taking a little bit of a hit if things continue to go down from here. If we do go into a recession or deeper into one, luxury spending kind of like this would be kind of for most people on a tight budget. This would be one of those frills that gets cut, right? Like traveling to a convention like this. It's really hard to say, though. Me personally, I plan on going to probably 3 a year for the foreseeable future. I'm set up in a pretty decent spot to where I should be able to justify it and afford it for myself for the next several years at a minimum, as long as things don't get too crazy. Obviously, if they really take a big hit and they become no longer profitable, I mean, the only reason they're being done, I'm sure the people running it are passionate about the hobby. They could do business in other sectors, in other areas. They chose to do business here, but they are running a business and they are making money. If and when it stops making them money, they'll stop putting on the conventions, right? So I guess if it gets bad enough, they'll go away. And maybe to some extent, some of the it's such a new thing that we don't even really have established like the main one. Seems like Collecticon has kind of formed itself to be the main one, and then there's all these other ones. But I guess you'll see some of the secondary ones fall first, if any start falling, if it gets that bad. Kind of like the way grading companies will go over the next couple of years. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, nothing to really add. I mean, the only thing I would say is, it's also, there has to be incentive for the vendors, and for the other part, for all the partners, the event owners, Vanilla Ice, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the influencers,
Jason Page.
Jason Page, yeah. So the point just being that, like, it's I don't think that the cost to go to these, just as Dan said, for people in the city is the issue. I would wonder more, like, are people buying things at them? How much are vendors losing? Does it really make any sense for any vendors to go? That would be the only thing that I would add. Or are these things, like, does it really need to be? Is this just more like people are just always willing because it's fun and enjoyable and people can afford to, like, lose a little bit of money and vend it, like us. So.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, the three of us mentioned our take on that earlier. We're all pretty willing to go vend, lose money, but not everyone will be too. So,
yeah, I view it as we're helping out, with the fun. You need cards there. If people don't bring their cards, it's not going to be as fun. It'll still be fun to all get together and hang out. But,
oh yeah, definitely.
I'm really excited.
But it's also fun that we can walk around and look at some cards that we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, a lot of the entertainment isn't buying. It's just kind of being there and seeing what people have.
Yeah, and I don't know. Last week, this past weekend in Dallas, they had the big MetaZoo tournament, right? The $250,000 thing.
Yeah.
When we went in Orlando, they had the $1 million, $500,000 box break through Heritage. Most collecticons, there's been like a premier event tied to it. Do we know of one for Charlotte?
I think Charlotte's the redheaded stepchild.
I'm assuming we'll get Vanilla Ice Concert, which I guess that's just the premier draw.
So that'll be the end of day one sales right there.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there's like any other. I haven't seen anything about box breaks. I would imagine something is probably being done through Whatnot. They're usually one of the main people.
Whatnot's doing they're doing like premier live events where you can schedule a time to go live at the Whatnot booth and sell stuff there.
Yeah, I'll be interested if anything surprise pops up, but maybe it being the week after Dallas, maybe they didn't tie in any premier event. But
yeah,
even if not, I mean, it's going to be a great time.
Oh yeah. No, I'll be curious to see how it compares to Orlando, where these Dallas and Charlotte were back to back like this. It'll be interesting to see how it compares. Because I know Dallas was everyone went there.
I'm kind of glad they didn't tie in some major box break because I probably would have bought packs in it, and it's good for me to take a break on that.
Definitely.
I'm gonna be selling the heavy packs.
There we go.
Yeah, I think we covered that one though.
I think so.
Next question comes from Matthew Bay. How do you handle time management for the hobby/business? Pokemon is time consuming for many reasons, so I'd like to hear stories and strategies about time management. So for me personally, obviously this is a very personalized question, depending on the individual. If you ever feel like you're spending too much time in it to where it's a detriment to your life, you should pause, take a break, whatever you need to do. But for me personally, what that looks like being full-time, work-life balance is very important to me. It's a large part of the reason why I quit my job to do this full-time. Being my own boss, setting my own hours, has a lot of benefits to it. My wife's a teacher. I've mentioned multiple times. Over the summers, she's off. I am very much looking forward to spending a lot of times. We just went to the zoo yesterday, Memorial Day. We've got like season passes to a couple local zoos. I want to take my kids mini golfing and for ice cream and camping trips, and I can do that like whenever. I don't have to. I don't have to do it on the weekend when everyone else is going. I can just like take off a Tuesday and Wednesday and go midweek to the water park, things like that. So during the school year, I pretty much baseline is like I work generally when my wife works during the school day. 8 to 4:30 are my standard hours, Monday to Friday. If she's off though, and schools are off quite a bit, I take the holiday when she takes the holiday during the school year. I'm not taking the whole summer off though, by any means. Like I did tell her, I told her throughout the school year, I'll take off the days you take off mostly. Like when they get a week off for no reason, I'll usually work a couple of those days, like midwinter recess. I don't need a midwinter recess, but like, so, but yeah, the summer, I'll 8 to 4:30 will be the standard. But if I just want to like drop stuff because it's been a bit like go run and do whatever, whenever with the family, I'm going to do that. And I'm really excited for that. So yeah, I guess strategies for that. I know I heard Charlie actually, Sherlocker, when he was on your thing, you, Jake, you Zach, and Charlie, I think it was that one where he mentioned do not disturb mode. Like I'm kind of addicted to this thing, and I realize it. I'm still not perfect with it, even when do not disturb mode is on. But like every day when my workday ends, do not disturb mode starts, and it goes from 4:30 until 8:30 when my kids go to bed. I try to. I mean, if you've messaged me, if you're in the Discord, the Pokenomics Discord, you've seen that I do send messages at times in between those times, but I try not to too much. So just take it away. Like if you need to, just do not disturb, turn it off, throw it in the other room, remove yourself when you need to, especially if things get unhealthy. Those are my general thoughts and strategies, I guess.
If you want to go, Jake, you could.
I'm not sure I have too much to say. I mean, this is a hobby for me. It's not primarily a business. So because of that, I'm not forced. The only thing I'm responsible in doing is the Patreon. That's the only thing I owe to people. So that part is a business in the sense that people are paying me for, and us, Dan and I, for a service, we've made a commitment that we're gonna, do our presentations, do our weekly office hours, generally be available and engaged. But that's more of the knowledge. I have to be up on everything and know and study constantly and many hours, many hours every week, go into that. So in that sense, I have been doing that before I had that. I do it more now, and in a more serious way. Just because I feel like I have to. But in terms of like the buying and selling stuff, whatever I want, it's on my own time. There are times when I want to sell some things, and I go on and I list a bunch and I go through and I look to see all the things that I want to sell. There are times and periods where I'm buying quite a bit, but it's very much of a fun, sort of enjoyable hobby in that. But so I guess I don't feel like that gets out of control at all as far as time. The studying and the engaging in the market definitely can, and particularly when I was working like 75 hours a week and doing all-nighters occasionally to work at the hospital. It was, my girlfriend Sarah will tell you it was a struggle at times in terms of just us having time together. And I wasn't spending that much time with friends and doing I play basketball 3 times a week. I've been in bands and other sorts of things off and on my whole life, so doing, I love playing board games. So just kind of like, Sarah and I like to go out to eat once a week, usually like a date night, just like our normal routine stuff. But it was also like the pandemic. So it was this weird thing where a lot of it was taken away. So it was like a time to become a little bit more of a workaholic. Mm-hmm. So now that things are not that way, I have more time. I'm definitely building into my schedule, or I've never been one to, I've always been one who's, I think, driven by my sort of passions, rather than being very disciplined on a schedule. But I find that it is important for me to be disciplined on a schedule to some extent. So there are things that I have sort of free time for myself that I tend to always be working on projects or working on ideas or trying to build my business or do a hobby or learn a new skill like painting or, practicing my guitar or singing or something or writing songs or music. And that's sort of where I'm like passionate, but then I have things that I like always do, whether it's like exercise, basketball, like, eat, have dinner. This is our time. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have dinner during this period. That seems to work for me decently, but there's no solution to keep yourself in line at all times, I don't think so. But that's the sort of stuff that I do. And as far as Turn social media off. Turn us off. Like, you know,
Don't turn us off. Everyone but us.
yeah, it's not in our best interest to say it, but it's the truth. You know, there's plenty of time to watch us in a healthy way. And we put out plenty of content that you can watch and hang out with us in a healthy way that improves your life. But, you know, they're, you know, like with our Discord and, you know, and other things, I mean, 100% like, balance in your life. Like, keep this enjoyable as much as possible.
Be efficient. When you do listen, use that 2x button.
I cannot do that.
You know, and I think a lot of the long conversations we have can be really soothing and valuable to have in the background, you know, while you're doing other activities too and things like that. But I actually mean it, and you know, I talked about us, but you know, there sometimes there can be negativity and sort of clashing ideas and personalities, and those can be entertaining and enjoyable, and debate can be you know, great, but it can also, like, that's the type of stuff that's probably most likely to burn you out and put you in sort of a bad mood or a bad space. So also, you know, not engaging in that all the time, not engaging in the stuff that pisses you off and the people that irritate you and annoy you. You know, generally it's a good, that stuff's good. And to my haters out there who are watching this, don't engage in me if I don't make
hate watch. Yeah.
Just watch the people you like. It's okay. You know, don't hate watch people, whoever you happen to choose that you enjoy or don't enjoy. There's plenty of people that you can enjoy or not enjoy, but try to watch people that actually make you feel good and you feel like have interesting, valuable things to say for you. So yes, don't hate watch. That's a good one that I work on too. So
you've got too much time on your hands if you can watch someone that you hate. I don't know what time management means. So. I'm awful with time management, but it's good and bad. Like, I'm so passionate about this, like we all are, but so passionate about making my business succeed. That is like the one goal that I have in life right now. So I work a lot of hours. When I don't work and I'm just kind of sitting down watching TV or something, it can be stressful at times. Like, I've gotten myself into a bad habit of doing my consignment auctions on taking pictures Friday night and getting those listed Saturday and Sunday. So if I take the whole day off on Saturday to do whatever, go for a bike ride, work out in the yard or whatever, Sunday I feel the pressure of having to get all those auctions listed. So I really can't take like idle time to go have breakfast with the family or go out for lunch or do something like that, because I'm constantly thinking, oh, I got to get this done today, I got to get that done today, something like that. So I spend probably a lot more time than I should doing stuff, and then when I'm not physically working, spending time thinking about, oh, I need to get this done tomorrow, I need to get that done tomorrow, whatever. But on the flip side, it can be stressful. But it's something that I truly enjoy, and if it weren't for Pokemon and this eBay business, I don't know what I would do with my life. There's not much else. I would live a very, very boring life, because there's really, I like to do a few things, go biking every once in a while, work out in the yard every once in a while, but there's really like no like hobbies that I do like multiple times per week. So this is my job, this is my hobby. So when it comes to on and off time, it's tough for me for sure. I would say too, for certain things, I do like having like a schedule, not like a set schedule of doing this from this time to this time, doing that from this time to that time, but just kind of like a rough schedule. Like I like to start my mornings off by hopping on the computer, looking at all my eBay messages, and then getting right into packaging all of my orders for the day. And then afternoon, I'll do kind of branch off and do whatever needs to be done that day, taking pictures, creating listings, stuff like that. So just a very loose schedule and kind of like a routine that I do every day.
Well, it's very gratifying to build something yourself, I find. Very satisfying. And as someone who mostly has worked for other people in my life, even building and trying this content creation business, very satisfying. To you know, and challenging and interesting and so I hear you, Nick, that it can be it's your baby, you know. It's like this,
definitely.
This thing I'm doing is and you're learning a lot. It goes beyond Pokemon. It's creating something yourself is meaningful, whatever it is. And it just happens to be that we both love Pokemon, so doing it within this is nice. It's really
nice little added bonus there.
Yeah, I don't recommend people create businesses with things that they hate or dislike doing. It's probably not the move. But.
And then some like what you guys were saying. I've started doing this myself. I am very rarely in YouTube lives anymore, just because even if I tell myself I'll just put it on in the background and listen to whatever's going on, I get sucked into the chat so easily. Yeah. So now I won't even click on a live. I always just watch them after the fact. That is something that has helped me.
That's funny.
They're doubly inefficient because one, you can only watch them at 1x because they're live. You can't go 1.5x into the future. And then two, you get roped into the chat. So occasionally I'll hop into a live and then I'll get busy with something, so I'll pause it. So then I'll be 10 or 20 minutes behind the live, and that's great because then you just 2x it for the next 10 or 20 minutes. But then when you catch up to the live, it's that slowdown from 2x to 1x, like that is strange.
Coming from the person who's in every single live, chatting in the chat.
That's one thing I didn't mention. Now during the school year, my wife, she's a very good teacher. She does too much. She brings home a lot. She's always planning and prepping. She just started at a new school too, new grade level. So she's doing her plans a lot of nights. This summer that'll largely go away. So for this summer, I'll be less frequently in things like that. But a lot of evenings after 9 p.m., kids go to bed. She does her thing. I do my thing. More listings, more hopping into a live, sorting cards, whatever. Recording the podcast every other week. I think this one's you.
Your average player. Will you guys be at Worlds? And if so, what inventory will you bring? I was talking to... Who was I talking to? Fourth Star TCG, one of the mods on E4, and talking to him the other day about Worlds. And before talking to him, I was basically 100% not going. But then I got to talking to him and made me think about how much fun DC was. So kind of planted that seed into maybe possibly going, but I don't think it'll happen. I've got a lot going on this summer between the CollectCon and then one of my college roommates getting married. Then I'm going on vacation. So there's already a lot of time off this summer. So I don't think I could justify flying over to the UK. That's the biggest thing is it's in the UK and you really can't do that flight. You really can't leave like Friday and then come home Monday being that far away. At least I would not want to. That would be a miserable trip. But
You got to do a week almost.
yeah, exactly. So if it was in the US, I would 100% be there and just kind of do a weekend trip. But where it's the UK, I don't think I'll be going this year. Are either of you going?
100% not for me. I've already told my wife, so it's like locked. I can't go, definitely. London is just, it would be significantly more costly than the 3 Collecticons that I chose. Very important to cover the second part. What inventory will you bring? When I did go to Worlds, I always brought like 1 PSA box worth, like 20 cards or so, solely for trades, because there is no vending at Worlds. If you transact in the open, cash for cards, you'll be kicked out. They explicitly do not allow sales on site in the venue. So just for all our listeners, transactions do happen. They can happen. They will happen. But like, you don't vend it formally. You don't have tables that you set up and buy and sell things like that. There's like a trade area, and you've got to just like slip cash, like covertly, or you've got to do stuff with PayPal or whatever.
And then I think a lot of the buying and selling happen at night too.
Yeah. Come back. Meet me at the hotel.
Yeah, the trade events at the hotel largely because it's allowed there, but the venue it's strictly not allowed. So, just important to let people know that. Find out when and where the trade nights are going to be, which hotel lobby people are setting up in, picking, if you want to. But like logistically too, say I was going to travel internationally with a ton of slabs or potentially a ton of cash, just kind of scary. I wouldn't be too excited about that. I went to Nashville and DC Worlds with a small amount of stuff I wanted to trade or sell. I did some buys, I did some sells. DC, I did a big buy, a Trophy Pikachu. I can't even imagine though what the floor price, what the on the floor price will be on the trophies this year, and the amount of money you'd have to bring to be ready for one of those. It would just be uncomfortable to move around with that much cash, especially internationally. So yeah, I'm not going, even if I was though. 2023, hopefully we'll come back stateside. Worlds is going to be like a default. I'm going to go to 3 or 4 events a year. Worlds will be one of them every year, except for this one because it's in London. But, and again, like we mentioned, Charlotte Collecticon, our sole purpose, our priority number 1 is just the experience, the event. That's all Worlds is essentially, because there is no formal vending. So if you travel to any of these conventions, and especially Worlds, with buying and selling as like your sole thing, maybe it'll work out and maybe you'll be happy with your experience. But a lot of times I think it won't live up to your experiences. You might not find the deals you think you're going to find. You might not set up the trades, and it's tough.
How about you, Jake?
I'm not going.
It's a long ways.
Yeah.
Stuart asked, given eBay's money back guarantee, should eBay feedback be redesigned? And then he offered up, I kind of paraphrased this one, instead of having like a positive, negative feedback, metrics on response and shipping time alternative to the current setup. So my opinion, I was selling on eBay back when you could leave negatives for buyers. Bring that back. We need that. If not negatives, rating them on something or other needs to be a thing. Yeah, I'm a member since May 1st, 2004. So I go way back. I think positive negative is fine generally, but a lot of people use it pretty differently. It's kind of bad how harsh a single negative can be towards people worried about the top rated seller, towards people worried about that pristine 0 negative feedback score. I've proudly worn at least 1 negative feedback for like 5 years straight now, I think.
Oh, those are rookie numbers. You gotta up those numbers there.
But to me, it would be way more relevant to see, like I know on Facebook, if you go to a business, you'll pull up their thing, you can message them, typically responds within 1 hour, typically responds within 2 days. That would be kind of handy to just click on an eBay thing, typically replies to their message, and then whatever their average response time is. Mine would probably be a few hours on average tops, because like sometimes if it's overnight it might be 12 hours, but generally speaking I'm pretty quick. And then you do get to leave the 4 metrics are items as described, communication, shipping time. Shipping charges makes no sense. Like why are you rating people out of 4 stars on shipping charges? That's just weird to me. All my listings have free shipping, so I think it defaults me to 5 stars anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
But like if someone's shipping charges are $50, you're gonna bid $50 less. So like why are you really gonna penalize someone?
It's eBay who cares about that.
It's just, well, you pay final value fees on the shipping fees anyways, so like it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I've always seen that more so as like combined shipping. Like if someone charges shipping and you buy multiple cards from them, are they just going to say, okay, your shipping's $20 for this, for these 2 PSA cards that I'm going to slap in a bubble mailer and mail to you?
And that, like, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever you pay all in to your door, however much. Gary is one who says there's no such thing as a shipping charge. It's all about whatever the all in. Like if you're going to buy an item for $1,000 and it's $1 with $999 shipping, or it's $1,000 with free shipping, it's the same thing. It makes no difference. It's $1,000 item. I'm in that camp. But anyways, getting back to the core question, it could be better. It should be better. I don't know the optimal fix for it, but my optimal fix would include some way to leave feedback for buyers, because there are bad buyers. The customer is not always right. But as a business person, I understand why eBay does it the way they do, because buyers have more alternatives, sellers don't as much.
Yeah, I would agree. I think overall eBay feedback is fine. I don't think many people pay attention to the actual feedback outside of like your percentage, like 99.9% or whatever the percentage is, 100%. I don't think people actually go click on the feedback, read through the comments, check out what your DSR ratings are at. So I think as long as it gives like that percentage of positive to neutral feedbacks, I think that's really all people care about. But like what Dan was saying, I really wish we could leave buyers negative feedback.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I agree with you, Nick. I think people just care about the positive negative ratio. You know, I think that if it's a big item, or I mean, people will go in, and I will go in and look and check to see what happened in those negative feedbacks. You know, and like, is this a crazy person who unfairly, you know, like, does this seem like a sane negative feedback or a really unfair negative feedback?
But if the deal's good enough, you'll lower your standards.
Exactly. Usually when I'm looking, it means the deal's already good.
There was a quote on E4. I forget who even did it, but like, if the devil was selling the last card that I needed to complete my set, I would buy it from them. Like, I forget whose quote that was.
You take a gamble. But yeah, the better the deal, the more gamble you're willing to take, for sure.
Yeah. And some of this, again, I paraphrase this one. There was something along the lines of like, given how much buyer protection there is, if a buyer's had a negative experience to where they're going to leave negative feedback, they could have just forced the return on the seller anyways. And in many instances they do. So I think part of Stuart's question was like, if a buyer forces a return, gets the return, is leaving a negative feedback on top of that, like almost too much in some ways. And depending on the circumstances, I think people, I've bought thousands of items on eBay over the past nearly 20 years now. I've only left negative feedback on a seller less than 10 times, probably well under 1% of, probably 0.1% of the total items I've ever bought.
I've done it once.
And
I can remember exactly what I said and what the person did to me.
See, I can't think. It might be more than 5, but it's definitely less than 10. But again,
left more. Like, I'm probably doing people a disservice by not leaving a couple more. But like, there were a couple where it was like someone would, like they sent something fake and they would say, "Oh, I didn't know, just send it back." And I should have just given them, but like this person's, full of crap, but I just didn't. I was like, you know what? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this is maybe it's genuine. I don't know. But the one that I left negative feedback, the person was just such a scummy person, and a variety of things happened, and they kept stringing me along, saying that they were going to send it, and then eventually canceled it, and then just made up a whole excuse. And it was this amazing auction that I won, so I gave him every benefit of the doubt, kept waiting as long as I possibly could before I had to, get eBay involved. Just, so annoying.
Oh yeah. That is for sure.
Sorry, Dan, I interrupted you there.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say, there's times that I've gotten negative feedback that I've deserved it in some ways, but like if I were the buyer, I would have been more understanding and I wouldn't have left the negative. I have one active on my account right now, and it was the person messaged me ahead of time and they said, "Hey, can you not include a packing slip? This is going to be a gift." And I said, "Sure, but could you please just leave a note at checkout? You know how when you buy something you can add note for the seller?" Mm-hmm. It shows up right there when they go to print the labels. So I should have taken a note down of the username and then put no packing slip. Well, 2 days later, when I went to ship the label, they didn't leave the note at checkout. I accidentally included the packing slip. So the recipient of the gift found out what it cost. I mean, they could go to eBay. They could find it anyways, whatever. But I said that I'd honor that request, and I forgot about it, and I didn't. So, yeah, I earned that negative, but like, I guess one, I'd probably never make that request. 2, if somebody forgot about it, it would be like, okay, oh, well, it happens. I wouldn't have left a negative person, but it was fair that they did it. I didn't fight it. I would have had no grounds to fight that one anyways. But then there's been times where like I ship out a card, they don't agree with the PSA grade, which is a whole different story anyway, but they force a return, or if they come about it the right way, and I've talked about this before, if you don't agree with the grade, generally I say no return. But if you're really reasonable about it and you just come at it the right way, politely, all that, I've accepted it. So there's been times where like I've accepted a return and then later on they leave a negative after I openly accept the return. It's like, what more do you want me to do? I sold the PSA 9, I sent it to you, you didn't agree it was a 9, so I took it back, and then you still leave a negative. Like, that's kind of crazy. And some of those I've gotten removed and some of them don't get removed. It's weird. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think I've always been 99.9% or higher. I don't think people dig too deep into that. I guess if you're buying a gift from me, be careful. I might put in a packing slip accidentally.
Yeah, I might be a bit biased, but I don't think there's one neutral or negative feedback that I deserved. I've been racking them up lately. I got 6 negatives in the past 12 months and 4 neutrals.
There we go.
I just think people are, I mean, the thing is like, this is a person who's has a hard job, who's running a business potentially, depending on their size, and feedback really negatively impacts them. So unless I'm like saving someone, from something really bad happening to them, or if the person's like really, really rude and really difficult, like but I've always been like, I remember like in college, like I could never give teachers bad feedback because I knew it impacted their tenure, like the way the system works. And it's just like, unless the teacher would have had to been like unbelievably bad for me to not left them all 5s, like 4s and 5s. Of course, then it's like, well, but Jake, how are they going to differentiate the teacher that deserves, tenure? Then you're hurting the good teachers by giving, the not as good teachers. So you could say the same thing with the sales, but I don't know. I just hate this ranking stuff. And I've always I hate the power that it has and the lack of like, nuance. I don't know. And the impact it can have on people, but I don't know. It's late at night. It's like 2 a.m. now. So I'm just, all right, fellas, what's next? Let's keep this train going here. That's 2 more.
Oh, was this mine?
Yeah.
Well, Pikachu asked, what are your opinions about using bots for collectible releases? Do you feel it mainly impacts the collector or the collector who buys most of their product hoping for a profit? I'm kind of jealous of people who use bots to buy stuff because I have absolutely no idea how that even works. But I definitely think that most people using those are definitely the flippers who are just buying it to immediately resell it. I would find it hard to believe that there's that many like true collectors who just want this release that are using bots to buy it to ensure that they can buy it. Just because I wouldn't imagine there's that many people who know how to do that or are willing to learn how to do that just to ensure they're able to get it for their collection. Whereas if you're someone who's flipping the product, there's a monetary incentive to learn how to do that. So yeah, that'd be my answer for that one.
What about you, Jake?
I mean, I use bots for sniping tools and for auctions and things like that. I don't use them for releases on any websites.
I think the like Gigson is I guess that could be a bot. I didn't even consider that one.
I think
I was thinking more so
about...
like when product became available on a website, you have a bot set up to immediately purchase it.
Yeah. I just don't care that much about modern products and modern releases. So I think if I really did and I really felt like it was really good money and it was really, I would probably use one, but I wouldn't buy like a ton of things. I would just buy maybe like a box or 2. Like I'm definitely not. I'm not someone who's comfortable buying large amounts of things when I know a lot of other people want it, just personally. So. Whereas like if you and I are both competing in like an auction, I don't have any problem. The tool is not going to help me win the auction. It just allows me to bid on a lot more auctions than I would ever be able to actually sit and be there for. So, it's a max bid that goes in a few seconds before, type of thing. And I just think that feels far more fair game than kids and families and all sorts of things who are trying to get the newest Pokemon product and you're botting it all out. But to be honest with you, it's late night here. I don't care that much. That might seem a little cold-hearted. I think if I had a kid and I was trying to get them product and they kept botting me or I wasn't able to, but then like, why don't you just go to like Walmart? Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like scalpers fighting scalpers, probably to a decent degree. And just be patient. Like, I just don't care that much about all the people doing that. And I kind of think, we're getting real blunt tonight, that like, it's not a lot of like, I mean, they're sophisticated. Like, there's a lot of botters in like the sneaker world, and like there's sophisticated networks and people who do this that make a lot of money and are very, very successful. And I think that that's fine, basically. And it's really up to the websites to kind of protect what they're doing so that that's not effective or less effective. Trying to make sure that people can only buy a certain amount, or that it's very difficult, for lots of multiple accounts, to that the same person can't have many multiple accounts and buy many at once. But overall, it's just not something that, I have too strong of feelings about, nor do I feel like I can do anything about it. Maybe that's also part of it. It's sort of like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I want people to like each have a chance and have their fair share. And, but it kind of has nothing to do with me.
For me, like, I think this was largely targeted towards Pokemon Center releases 1,000 UPCs tomorrow on Pokemon Center. People like us manually going in as humans, ironically, will get caught by the "Are you a robot?" thing. We'll get caught by that, and then the bots will get through, order them all before we have a chance. Kind of like similar take to what Jake was saying. I mean, I have distributor access, so it doesn't really affect me. I'm not buying anything at retail to scalp it, sell it for more later. But like, when it comes to like concerts, when it comes to like around the holidays, the latest PS5, Xbox One X, whatever it may be, I might have a take here that people don't like. The manufacturer or the retailer, when it comes to a concert, you can't make the venue bigger than it is, but people should just charge market price. Like if the Rangers are playing a game, and I guess the way the Rangers sell tickets, they sell season tickets only, and then some season ticket holders like sell their seats for various games. But for a concert with 60,000 seats,
is what you're saying.
What's that?
They should charge more, so it doesn't make sense to bot it.
They should charge market price. Like if my band is playing a venue with 60,000 people, and we've played similar venues for years and years, and we've seen what the secondary market prices have been historically. Like, you're not going to always perfectly predict it, but we should just be pricing them out of the gate at market. We shouldn't have a concert for $50
so
when
so honestly, I don't think that's possible, because I think what happens is that whatever they set it at, the scalpers will just double it. Like, for really important finals events and things like maybe like not like some random concert, but like, like the NBA final, or it's like,
but there's a limit.
Yeah.
There's a limit to everything. I mean,
you'd be surprised.
If the face value of every Super Bowl game
I couldn't believe how much people are paying for some of these finals tickets and Super Bowl tickets.
Some of those are like anything else. You hear an article, you hear some news segment, you read some article about this ticket sold. A lot of those aren't real transactions. They're shilled. They're fake things that didn't actually happen or go through. But yeah, to me, like, I would, and again, this is probably a bad take that people are not going to like. I would be fine with Pokemon Center tomorrow selling 1,000 ultra premium collections at $300 a pop. Most people would not be whatsoever. That is like a slippery slope type thing. I think Magic, to some extent, does do that through their relationship with Amazon. It becomes a little bit slippery slope. It becomes a little bit.
It provides them a weird sort of incentive that is a slippery slope.
Very much.
It really complicates things. Whereas, just as you put, why it would work theoretically so well for a venue is that there's only so much. So all of that is going to be available, and they can't print more. They can't make more.
Distributors do that today, though, too. Like, distributors used to just distribute product. Distributors invest in product now. They speculate on product now. Like, I can buy $160. I don't know if they're still there, but they were for a while. Before the reprint for August was confirmed,
yeah,
I have a distributor that's holding back product, not selling it at $86.50 like I normally get it. $160. Limit 2 per week.
Yeah.
I'd rather Pokemon get it themselves than the distributor. It's a weird thing, and slippery slope, but for more general things like PlayStation, Sony, when Sony comes out with the next PlayStation console, every PlayStation console since PS1, since PlayStation, the original, every single one, the demand at release is just astronomical. They can never produce enough consoles to meet hype wave demand. I think when PS6 comes out, it should be $2,000 for the first month.
Yeah, but then what about the people who can't afford it at $2,000 but can afford it at $600?
What a popular take by Dan tonight.
No, like they wait. They're stuck waiting anyways. Like, why sell it for $600 or $800 when the market is clearly willing to pay $2,000?
Because not everyone can afford that.
I think
there is a portion of people who do get it for $600. I was able to get the it was the iPhone that came out last year.
Yuck.
I think also it's about setting a target for the company to make enough of it that they can get it that they can keep it at that price. So like for Pokemon, it's like while this is in print, it should be at $80. And so it's Pokemon's responsibility to like print enough or 90 or whatever, or Pokemon ideally. I mean, because you need the distributors need to make money, and then the secondary, the LGSs or the need to make money. So there needs to be obviously some room there. So 80 is probably not right, but we want it to be between 95 and 110, or whatever on the secondary market. And it's Pokemon's sort of responsibility to print enough until it gets to that point. As far as, and then you have your specialty products, which I think can have a completely different, whatever. But, so.
PlayStation 5s have been out a year and a half, and they're still unavailable.
Is that because of supply chain issues, probably?
They've sold 19.3 million units.
Yeah.
Like, to me, they put the retail price too low.
No, that had more to do with COVID than anything else.
Your argument makes no sense in this, in that it does not get us the money it doesn't get us the product any cheaper. It just makes it so that they make more money and the scalpers don't make any money, which I don't care either way.
Which that's fine.
That doesn't help me or anyone watching this one way or another. It's just who's gonna make that.
It would be an in-between number. It wouldn't be like whatever they're selling for release week on eBay. It would be less than that. It would be somewhere in between.
Cheaper because if they put it in between, maybe less people bought it. Is that the theory? So it's
definitely
bought it and make money, but maybe not as many bots because it's not going to be quite as much of a difference.
All I know is it's crazy, and it still happens a lot. A 60,000 person venue selling out for $50, and then immediately everything's botted and on StubHub for $200 a piece. Like, why is that still a thing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's something that the company is making that decision, which is interesting, right? And why that is, and what agreements they have in place, But I imagine that a lot of the agreements are with the distribution companies and the LGS. Like it's to make sure that, because they're taking gamble, right? The distribution companies and the LGSs are taking a gamble that nobody wants this. And so they are the ones who should maybe make the money, the secondary market money, if people find out that they really want it, right? Because what if nobody wants it? Pokemon's already sold it and made their money, and they're spending nothing to create the product, So they're making their money. So what's the incentive if it's not possible for them to go to 160 or whatever, and for them to make the money? What's the incentive to keep doing it?
Yeah.
So, and I would imagine there may be similar situations in some of these other things we're talking about, but like the fees that some of these websites, who knows with the tickets, and I don't really know. These are not business, and I've never thought about any of this stuff before. It's an interesting thing to think about randomly at 2:15 in the morning after I'm thoroughly exhausted. But that's where my mind goes. Is I would imagine that there's some reason that the businesses are leaving that money on the table. There's probably some intentional sort of passing that wealth, sharing the wealth type of reason, I would imagine.
And one interesting comment I had on a recent video where I talked about like my strategy with ultra premium collections. I still have like 15-ish left. And I talked about how I'm intentionally not selling them into the market at today's prices. I'm holding out from higher, selling them slowly. And someone made the argument that like Pokemon shouldn't even sell those ones through distributors. They should only sell them directly on Pokemon Center for retail. And my comment back was just that they're going to get botted and they're going to be scalped and flipped by someone. Like at some point, some amount of businesses out there probably did. Well, Walmart, Target, those stores did sell them for retail. Some amount of LGSs probably did as well. But yeah, it's just this weird thing. Everyone knew that product was going to outsell retail very quickly. It's just weird to come out with a product. Such a weird. Pokemon knew what was going to happen with that. I guess it just like there's a lot of psychology into that. They got half as much profit as they could have, but they just fueled the mania, the stonks, the limited. Like it's a psychological thing that just goes deeper, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, it also could have been deals in place and supply chain issues. They wish they could have made more. Maybe they couldn't. Who knows?
But maybe we've got a massive reprint wave being announced later this week.
Anything is possible as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Pokemon has had an interesting up and down history with the secondary markets, to say the least.
Yeah.
Sporadic bombs dropped on the secondary market with reprints.
Fun question there from Nigel Chu.
Nigel.
Yeah. I love his avatar.
Yeah.
So this one comes from Ray. Shout out to Ray from the a Pokenomics Patreon Discord regular. With all the inventory you go through and see daily, what gets you excited still when it comes through your hands? Anything new. I just recently bought a pretty decent collection from a friend, and almost the entire collection were promos, largely Japanese, that I've never owned before. Unique low promos, some of the Yokohama Pokemon Center promos. It's just really cool. It's in my name, Catch 'em All Collectibles. I'm never going to catch them all, but catching and releasing, I still won't handle every one of them in the whole hobby, but I'll get much closer to having caught them all at least once by doing that. So just like learning about some of the promos in this collection that I just bought were like really niche, up normal coffee, Indonesian promos, KFC promos, like some of them I didn't even know existed. And I learned about them having bought them in this collection. So like, that's one of my favorite parts. Learning new things, seeing and owning, handling new things. And then like some of the stories, some of the interactions, like this one I bought from a friend. We had a conversation about what he was going to do, the improvements he was going to make on his house, like that interaction experience. on the buying side, buying a collection, hearing about I've helped fund weddings, house renovations, down payments on houses in the collections that I've bought. And then on the selling side, I've sold that final ETB for their collection, that final promo, that final card for their binder. And I've had people like send me pictures, videos of their whole collection that's now complete. And so like part of that gets me excited, being involved in those interactions and experiences on both sides of it. So little bit of like the actual inventory, and then a little bit of like the stories and the experiences of just being a party to the transactions. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I do enjoy those messages from people about completing their set or giving a pack to their son or their nephew or some little kid and having them open it and pull something good out of the pack. Those are always good interactions and things that I usually remember. But as far as like actual inventory stuff, I still thoroughly enjoy any purchase that I get in. It's still like Christmas morning every morning that I get to open some type of package. I just love going through new stuff. The more the better in my opinion. Like those gigantic collections, like Rusty's, all the pins that I bought off of Rusty. I loved going through all those that afternoon. It was so much fun for me. But then it quickly wears off to the point where, like, okay, I have this crap ton of pins. What do I do with it? And just kind of gets set off to the side, and the next new and exciting toy comes in. But yeah, no, that like initial rush of just getting a package is still really exciting for me.
Yeah, I still love it. You know, it's buying a collection, not being exactly sure what's going to be in there, what condition it's going to be, various degrees. That's so fun. I like collections when they're clean and not gross. So like, as long as it's like if I get like a clean collection that I feel like has been well taken care of, that is my favorite thing to look through. I love that. In terms of excitement, like really excited, finding a mint card, like sometimes like when I'm looking through something and I can add something to my grading pile that I know is like pretty hard to find, and like that can be very exciting. It's been a while since I've like won anything that was like super exciting or like super big or super new. I bought some fairly expensive cards that I was excited, but I was also stressed out recently, or not too recently, because I was like, I'm gonna, like, I've done it, and I'm glad I own this now, but like, whew, you know, excitement. I love this hobby, you know, like I'm not sure I feel like excited all the time, but it's constantly fun and like enjoyable with maybe like occasional like actual excitement. Probably pretty rare that I'm like excited though, like really excited. Do you get excited by it? What do you get excited by, Ray? Yeah, do people get excited? Like how many? I wonder what people, you know, is that something that people feel a lot, or is it not that intense?
Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Here we go. Good for me to get some comments in.
You're one of the real ones.
And Nick and I, the degenerate gamblers we are, we both bought packs in the Las Vegas Pokemon Saves the World.
I can't believe
that was exciting. That was that was like heart pounding, being up on stage, opening those packs. That was like as far as like adrenaline, heart pounding, that was probably the most exciting thing I did in the hobby Yeah, had to be. And then pulling the Shadowless Charizard was crazy. So that was
And the
not
Shadowless Magneton, even crazier.
the
Even
first edition Magneton.
Magneton.
That was
That's most of life.
yeah, that was
a first edition Magneton or a first edition Dragonair? Because actually the Dragonair's a better pull because it's probably going to be a 10, or there's a much better chance it's going to be a 10 versus an 8.
definitely better with the hollow. Even yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
Think about that stuff.
Hollow.
It's a depressing thing to think about, but
clearly that wasn't like a very business-minded purchase. Like that's not inventory. Like that those cards are a part of my like those are going to be sold when I'm gone inventory. That kind of inventory. So
no Clefairy doll that day, unfortunately.
yeah. Some people pull them, but thankfully they didn't fall to Nick and I in our. My unlimited pack was a last, but I didn't even get to open that one.
I don't even know what my unlimited pack was.
Your mind was just on the Shadowless in first edition.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that was like peak raw excitement. But as I mentioned, the interactions, and they're not like every day. 99% of my interactions are just eBay items sold, print the label, pack ship. The ideal one, I never hear from them. No messages, just like boom, sold, money's there, card gone. Maybe a feedback comes, maybe it doesn't. I don't care.
Oh, see, that annoys me. I can't stand when people. I don't do anything about it at this point, but I can't stand when people don't leave feedback.
I have like
can't wait for the day when
30 to 40% rate of feedback is what I get only.
Yeah, I think we looked that up one time, and I
often don't leave feedback. You're gonna hate me, Nick.
See, I always do. The reason I do is because that's how I account for what I actually received. Otherwise, I'd be worried that like, did I actually get everything I bought? I have no idea. So I use feedback for like
makes sense
inventory tracking purposes, basically.
I usually give feedback to smaller sellers.
Screw the big guys; they don't need it.
But like, I think of big sellers is like really big. Like even people with like 800 or 1,000, I still view that as like fairly small. But if I see people with 13, 15, 18, and I bought a bunch of, I don't know.
So what you're saying is I don't get the feedback.
Like Sid Stein's over here.
Throwback.
Oh man!
How many do I have? I have 18,314.
Yeah.
What do you gain a month?
He's got enough.
I want to calculate what I'm going to pass you.
I have 130 over the past month.
Oh, I'm going to pass you soon. I'm up. I'm just over 1,000 a month. 1,000 a month now.
Holy, that's crazy.
So how much feedback do you have?
It's like 11,000.
Yeah, you don't need any more feet. You're fine.
I got to pass Dan. It's my one goal in life to be able to text him and say I passed you.
Probably early next year, maybe late this year.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny though.
Most people don't leave positive feedback; they only leave negative feedback.
Yeah.
Which is a frustrating part of life.
That's one metric that should be like, you can go in to see feedback left for others by someone, but they should have to wear it next to their name. Like sellers have to wear it. Like I should see
amount of positive negative given.
If your negative feedback ratio is higher than 1%, you're the problem. Generally, like 99%. Both ways of transactions are just smooth and fine. If you're leaving negative feedback on greater than 5 or 10%,
listen, you left the stub in there. You left the amount in there.
And I went and I replied to it and I owned it. I said that my mistake. Like
honestly, unforgivable.
Unforgivable.
I'm gonna go buy something from you and leave you negative feedback about that other item.
I'm leaving this for the person that left negative feedback to just that's worthy of 2 negative feedback.
Oh,
No, I
man.
think it would be really cool to
If
go to a
anyone is still
buyer.
listening to this video, go on to Dan and go leave him some negative. No, I'm just joking. Don't do that.
I'm actually looking at the person that gave me a negative, and they leave a lot more negative than I do.
Oh, there's some people who leave a lot of negatives.
Yeah.
In their last 200 feedback, because that's how many I can see on one thing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Man.
9, 10, 11, over 5% negative.
5%.
Mm.
Outrageous.
If and this is something I know, people in my personal life, they go to a new job and they always have issues, and they get in a new relationship and there's always issues. If every partner, if every romantic partner has an issue, if every coworker has an issue, if every friend or family member is an issue, you're the issue. that applies on eBay too. So
I disagree. I think you're all great. It's all Dan.
the customer's always right? So no, I think you should have to wear next to your name, you should have to wear that you give positive feedback 95% of the time.
I think that's hilarious. I mean, that would be insane if they did that, and like really inappropriate, honestly.
Why?
But like, what I do think though is that like the whole like sellers should be able to give buyers feedback. That's a different thing. That I think is, I'm sure eBay has looked into it many times and probably has piloted before, but that's something that would be interesting.
Years ago, you could. I could before, and I have
when
left.
was that? How long ago was that?
It was a long.
I've been on eBay 18 years. It was over 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember that. But I was on eBay back then too, occasionally. But it's so long ago, I probably just forgot, and I didn't do it that much.
Yeah,
So.
I've been selling for at least 15 of the 18 years I've been on there. And I have left negative feedback way back in the day for buyers that were just ridiculous. And I've heard other people, I think I've heard Echo Base talk about this. I was selling on eBay back when it was common to send a money order.
I remember that.
A personal check. I've gone to the post office and gotten a money order to send to pay for my eBay item. And I've received them and taken them to the bank, taken them to the post office to cash them.
It's interesting.
Yep. Way back in the day, throwback. But yeah, we're getting some nice spicy takes in here after 2 a.m. Eastern. So we are down to our last question, though, if we're ready to move on through this one.
I'd like to do another 3 hours.
Yeah. I'm getting a second wind here. We're getting riled up a little bit with some of these questions.
I am so tired. It's brutal.
That second wind comes though, like I'm getting right. I'm not even gonna be able to fall asleep for another hour now.
No, I'm gonna go right to sleep.
Feeling alive.
Mr. Walrus. Hey guys, since going full time, are there deals you feel you would have missed out on if you hadn't? Reverse for you, Jake. Feels he's missing any. Are there deals you feel you would have missed out on if you hadn't? So for me, absolutely 100%. With my job, I was away working 3-4 months at a time, and eBay was blocked on the ship's internet, so I was not on eBay whatsoever when I was away. So there are definitely deals that I've been able to purchase now that I'm able to spend every single day searching eBay, searching Facebook, doing Pokemon stuff, versus when I was working full time. It was truly like an on-off switch. When I was home, it was Pokemon all the time. When I was away, it was nothing Pokemon whatsoever. So yeah, there were definitely deals that I would have missed out on if I hadn't gone full time. How about you, Dan? Were you over there chemical engineering and looking on eBay on the side?
I had 2 breaks a day and a lunch, so I was able to browse on occasion, and it's weird but I've probably had like over my several years doing this on the side, I built an obscene backlog of things that I had to get through and process. And so like for the past several months, I've not been buying as much as I used to, or I've not been dollar wise, I've been buying more than ever. But number wise and like volume of listings looking through, I've been buying less from that perspective. So I've been trying to be better about getting everything listed before I buy too much more. So in some ways, like maybe I've missed out on more because I'm not browsing eBay as closely since I've been full time. Later this summer, I'm projecting my backlog will be cleared and I should be able to get back to more regular eBay searching. And lately it's been Heritage and Golden. I see everything because there's just not a ton. And a decent amount of it falls in line with like the type of things I want to buy. eBay, extremely infrequently that I'm searching it. PWCC's hit or miss. I don't do what Jake does. I don't bid on 3,000 things every week. But yeah, so there are definitely dollar wise though some lots that I've been able to buy that I wouldn't have been able to commit to that much when it was a side thing, because I would have worried the timing I could have gotten to flip, process, get it listed. And so I've definitely purchased dollar wise some bigger things than I would have. And at the end of the day, I'm coming up on a 1 year. I'm probably going to do a live. I'm going to do some videos talking about doing this for 1 year. Very happy I made the move and dove into this full time. Very, very happy overall, all things considered.
I think the only thing I'd be doing differently is advertising myself more. So, trying to get more people to, growing my Instagram, trying to get my name out there more that I'm looking to buy collections. I never ever on my channel ever say, hey, if anyone has a collection, let me know or put it below, I've never done any of that. I think if I was a full-time business, I would probably do that. Just kind of let people know that I offer, fair, 60 to competitive, 60 to 80%, type stuff for really good stuff. The eBay game is strong for me, so I don't think
not much room for improvement.
I don't think there's much room.
Nothing misses Jake. Nothing eludes him.
There's some weeks that I'm definitely, do a little bit less. But generally I'm picking, 6 to 7 areas and I don't miss anything for, so generally, now every once in a while I definitely do because something's not listed that well, and someone will send me an auction once in a while that I would have bought that I just didn't see because, it just didn't come up when I was searching.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a world promo one, like
I remember that
4 months ago. That's actually the only one that I can think of. So it rarely happens, but those things haunt my dreams because, because those are types of things I look for. I mean, I look for a lot of things, but that's one category of thing I like. So, yeah. So, PWCC, Golden and Heritage, I do follow. Golden has almost nothing ever. Heritage definitely more regular. I mean, there's big things on Golden right now, but there's been a lot less that I've seen, at least, unless I'm missing something. But there's usually quite a bit of stuff on Heritage fairly frequently, every 14 days or so.
I think they end every Tuesday lately. They have weekly TCG type stuff
on Heritage. Yeah. There's not that much good stuff, but I feel like for me, it's been every 14 or so days I'm bidding on something maybe. So maybe every other week there seems to be some better stuff. And then, there's video games and things that I don't bid on a decent amount that I see there. I haven't really had any luck. I haven't bought anything on Heritage in a few months. So I don't know if you've been buying there, Dan, but I've been buying quite a bit from PWCC, quite a bit from eBay, of course. eBay is always the biggest auctions on eBay.
Yeah, for 2021, I did a recap video on my overall expenditures, and eBay was by far, it was higher than like wholesale distributors. It was higher than Golden, Heritage, PWCC.
Mhm.
But this year I'm on target to buy most from wholesale distributors. Second would probably be Heritage. Golden and PWCC fairly similar, and eBay might be like, unless I really up my game and start buying a bunch on there, eBay might be last out of all those.
Yeah, I think eBay might be my I've been doing bad about looking on eBay. It's been a long time since I've actually gone through and looked on eBay. Lot of my stuff now is through Facebook. I've been loving those Facebook groups.
Yeah, I do, like, not a ton, but I do pretty well once a month, once every other month, maybe getting a decent buy from either viewers or Instagram or the occasional. Sometimes I'll see something on Facebook. I don't really browse the Facebook groups much, though. The Pokemon groups are the only things keeping me having a Facebook account. But yeah, occasionally I'll scroll through there or I'll search something. And historically, I've had some great buys through there, but not much to speak of recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golden has a a decent little lineup ending in 6 days, so it'll be like Monday.
Mhm.
Heritage has the heavy hitters coming up
Yeah.
When do those end?
early next week, I think, right?
Okay. At least
PWCC Premier has some cool stuff coming up.
PWCC Premier has a full art Pikachu, the first publicly sold full art Pikachu coming up in like 5 years, I think.
I believe it's a number 3, right?
That'll be interesting.
It's a PSA 9 number 3. It's crazy to me. Like, in the time since we've had the last, I remember it because I lost it. I think it went for like $3,000, the last full art Pikachu that auctioned on eBay. In the time since we've had the last public sale of a full art Pikachu, all the 97 and 98 Pikachus have publicly sold. Multiple illustrators, multiple TMBs, SSBs, multiple tropical breezes, dozens of tropical winds, unicarps, trophy kangs, diamonds, pearls, platinums, masters keys. What am I missing? Like, all snap cards, a snap Magikarp sold. Everything has sold since the last publicly sold full art has went. Half arts, like not tons, but several half arts. Old school Neo trainers. Crazy to me. Like, I can't think of what's had a longer absence in the public eye. I can't think of something.
I mean, there are some niche things, but yeah.
Super,
Like,
yeah.
Korean Unlimited booster box or something,
like,
maybe.
Like female trainer, like you know, the 101s with the people's faces on it. I don't know, whatever.
And some of those have even sold, right?
One did, yeah. I think.
It's just fascinating to me because it's like they are very, very rare, very scarce, but they are like the current. It's shocking to me over the past 3 or 4 years. Well, I guess the last 2 they haven't been awarded, but like one of the winners didn't pop one up on Heritage or Golden or eBay. It just kind of blows my mind the drought that the public markets had. Clearly, I'm invested in them too because I own a set. I've contemplated being the one to list one publicly, but I was just always scared.
Yeah, that's real scary to be the first one.
I'm really intrigued though, because anyone who's really deep into this, that first half art went, a PSA 9 half art number 2 went for $110,000. And then like 3 more half arts came up and they went from like 110 to the 60s to the 50s to the 40s. I think a number 1 recently sold for like 50, a half art. So what's a full art 3 gonna do? No idea, but I'm interested.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see that.
It might go like way too high because it hasn't been there for a while, and then a few more might pop up and really bring it down like the half art saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. Thought that was a good one.
I can tell Jake's got like the next topic that we're gonna just spend an hour on. He's ready to.
I'm ready.
Let's hear it, Jake.
Carry us through to hour 3.
I'm gonna fall asleep on camera in a minute.
One thing I want to talk about
Pretty boring content.
before we lose Jake, I've said it to both of you multiple times. You guys have, well, you're getting picked up along the way, I think, Jake, but like several hour drive on the way down and the way back. Live stream, drive stream. We need it. The people, I'm the people. The people demand it.
One viewer.
The people demand it. We need like 1 hour during your drive where the Wi-Fi, where the 4G, 5G is good. Just go live on YouTube and live stream, drive stream. I'll tune in. You'll have at least one viewer.
Sounds very safe.
Well,
I was telling Dan, this will be it'll be good proof for when we get into a car accident and rear end someone trying to read the chat.
Jake's the co-pilot.
My family and friends multiple times have been like, "Who is this guy driving you down? Is he reliable?"
Let's see his driving record. Let's see his insurance premiums.
You guys are driving 14 hours. He's driving 14 hours in a row. Like, yeah. And I'm gonna do 9, I guess, in a row.
And then 14 on the way back.
No, because I'll be getting my car and probably spending the night at a
Oh, that's right.
Maybe. So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, it'll go. You know how we've been talking now for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it's felt like nothing because it's fun, engaging. The 14 hours will feel like 6 if you're live the whole time. Come on, we need like a new. That'll be like a PokeTuber record.
That is true. We can go for the record.
It's the most boring content I get. Hey, like we have to be in this car for 14 hours, so we're gonna force. We're asking you, the viewer, to also have to be in this car.
Shared misery.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's been a fun chat, though.
All right, fellas. Thank you for having me on.
We went way too long.
Apologies for my exhaustion.
This podcast has existed far too long without being graced by the presence of Pokenomics.
I know, it really has.
Good to finally have you on.
Yeah,
good to be here.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
Appreciate all the viewers, the listeners. Nick and I really let everyone down with only a 2-hour podcast last episode. So we said with Jake we should get to 3. Sorry for everyone. We didn't make it to 3. 2.5 though.
We at least got 2.5. We're creeping back up there.
I'm trying to draw Jake out to 3 hours, but I don't think he's gonna have it. We always have these long outros, but I'm gonna save Jake here. If any of you have a final word, if not, like, sub, go follow Jake. He'll be linked below. He's secret with what his eBay store is, but we'll have his YouTube linked. And find us on Patreon. Find Nick with his guys over there on Patreon. Do all the stuff.
Well, thanks for watching. Have a good one.
If you've gotten through this before Collecticon and you're gonna be there, stop and say hi for sure.
Yes, you better come say hi.
We'd love to meet as many people as possible. So, yeah. With that, appreciate you all watching. We will catch you all later.